Alright, so I'm really hoping that my internet will hold up tonight, so I will just repeat everything that I kind of just said. Is that my inbox at the moment is a bit overwhelming, and I think that I'm so blessed with the community that I do have, because I know that people feel trusted to reach out to me, and that makes me feel so incredibly humbled, and I'm really, really excited by that. However, for myself, I don't have the support and resources to be able to give back and offer that support. So today I'm bringing in Brad Fennel, who definitely has the resources and the expertise to be able to answer some of these questions. Now today, when I put in my stories about these questions, my heart literally broke, because there are so many really hard to stomach questions, and I think that it's absolutely heartbreaking what so many people are going through at the moment. And I wish that I was able to offer you more support. But you've got to remember, I'm not a qualified psychologist. I'm not a counselor. And it is really hard when my DMs, I have over 1,000 every day. It's hard for me to open at the moment because of the overwhelming nature of the DMs that I am getting. So I'm really hoping that tonight will give some of you a bit of answers. So I'm just going to see if I can add Brad into this now. It says that it's waiting for him, so hopefully he'll jump on. There we go. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm well. Yourself?
Good to see your face. Yeah, good.
You too. Was that you? Was that your internet or?
I think I'm upstairs.
Okay.
The kids are downstairs.
Okay.
So I think maybe
Watching Netflix.
No, they're supposed to go to sleep.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Now, there's a lot of responses and there's a lot of questions. So I'm really excited to have you here, because obviously you've got a lot more expertise than what I do in the area. And obviously you cope better with hearing all of these DMs and questions as well, because for me, it's really overwhelming having these sort of questions come through thick and fast. And how to process that, not being able to help. And I know that we often say that when you ask someone how they are, you should never ask them unless you're able to give them the support afterwards. And I kind of feel like for me at the moment, I can't offer that support. So I'm really glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here, because this is what I love to do. Is I work in a way that, my goal is to hold people and hold them in the state and unfold the process and the experience that's going on for them, and bring more awareness to that. So it's exciting. So hopefully we can help a lot of people tonight. It's a time.
Yeah.
We all need to be held. We all need to let go and be supported too.
Yeah, it is really, really tough. And I sent you some of these questions through, but there's hundreds, and I'm not sure if we'll get through them all tonight. But as long as you're okay with the way that this will work, is I'll ask you a question and see where we can go from there. Is that okay?
I love that.
Okay. How can I get my partner to see me? I can vocalize and I can cry, and my feelings will never be heard out, and he will just never be fazed. I get absolutely zero from him.
And it sounds like she's showing herself, and she's sharing that part of herself, but still, because one of the first things you can do in that scenario is actually show yourself. Often women don't do that. Often women, in some ways, take care of their partner and look after them, and don't show tears or it's anger or whatever's going on. So one of the first things you can do is make sure you're going deeper and share the deepest experience that you have. If you're feeling teary, bring that forward. If you're feeling angry, also ask what's going on underneath that. What's deeper for me, rather than I'm just pissed with you. What's really going on for me? And the other thing is ask, what is it that you're actually looking for? What do you need? Because
and that question alone is huge, isn't it?
What do you need? What are you looking for from this other person? Because they may not be able to do that for you. They may, but we now live in a culture where our tribe is incredibly small. It's our family unit. And we're trying to be everything for each other. And sometimes that person can't be that for you. By knowing that, then you can make some decisions. It's like, is this the right person for me? Isn't this the right person for me? Or do I need to get this from another place?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hanging out with women. Sometimes women are a lot better with their emotions, and hanging out with them is going to be a lot more beneficial for you sometimes. And sharing that and saying he's driving me crazy and I don't know what to do, and just sharing that can help as well. Because
Yeah.
there's something that you're saying when you say, I need this from him, there's something that you need.
Yeah.
So getting really clear on that it can be really helpful.
And then if he can't offer what you need, it's potentially looking at the relationship and what you can do for yourself. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. My partner, okay, I'm trying to stay on topic. Okay. How can I get behind my husband at the moment? He's just lost his job and our main source of income. It all feels a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Hard. And I think that tends to be the pattern that we're getting with a lot of these DMs at the moment is women are wanting to be able to support their partner, but they don't really know how. And I guess their partners are also on this emotional journey at the moment where they have lost their jobs and their income, and they don't know where they're coming from as well.
It's true. And the advantage of the time is we're all experiencing this together.
Yeah.
It's the one time in life. I work in a group of shops, and it's been incredible to see everyone come together as a collective, because no one in that network is doing really well.
Yeah.
And so having that support, because you want to hold him, but this is also scary for you. Again, what do you need? It's often you need to be held as well. You need to be supported, and then you can bring that in. Also encouraging him to find other people that can help and support him, which is often other men as well, where you don't have that connection. Maybe it's hard for him because he's trying to hold it together. He wants to be this person for you. He wants to not stress you. So it's hard for him to share that. Now, maybe he needs to. Maybe it's... Often women have a superpower because they do live closer to their hearts, and they have more emotion and they have more feeling. And sometimes for a man, you say, I want to know what you're feeling. And he's like, what are you talking about? What's a feeling? And that takes time and that takes development. So sometimes he's not there yet. But for him, going and having other people, other men that he can talk to, that he can share with, that we used to have secret men's business, which was really sacred men's business. It's not secret. It's just a place for men to connect.
And
You're going to say something.
a lot of men, where do you find that? Do you get what I mean? Like, I suppose that for a lot of men that are out there, they don't have that support network, or their friends are perhaps not as mature, or girls are fairly easy to communicate with their emotions. We wear our hearts on our sleeves. We tell us when there's problems, but for men, it's maybe not that case. How do you find that circle of a men's group so that they can get that support? Or how, as a woman, can you do that and provide to be able to nudge them in the right direction so that they can find perhaps that circle of men?
So there's loads of men's groups out there, and they can try and they can ask other friends. There's so many. From time to time, I run different men's groups. There's so many out there. There's so much support, and there's some that are really cheap as well. That you can go, you can get support, you can get online. There's all these different places. Also, kind of in your field, sometimes for me, like every Friday night, I used to go rock climbing in a gym. And it was a place for me to just connect with other men and have banter, but also have a place where if something's going on, we can be there for each other. But if nothing's going on, we can just share and we can just laugh. And often men need something to do. And you see these men's sheds and things like this where men are working together. And there are places now where men are doing the emotional work. So programs like MKP and all sorts of different programs that you can look into. But also, finding other men that you can just connect to. You can go surfing on the Gold Coast that you can just spend time with. It's important, but encouraging them to do this. Men also at times do need to go within. They need to go into their cave. It's their nature. Women at times want to go, they want to experience and they want to share and they want to have a deeper sense of life. Where so often men, we want to go into our cave because we want to solve this problem. And we want to go into the depths of ourselves. Men are often actually monks. It's why they like to watch TV and drink beer. Because this sense of emptiness, this sense of emptiness of responsibility. And that's why sometimes he doesn't want to share this with you, because he wants to be empty of the responsibility, empty of the commitment. Men want to feel free. They want to have this sense of freedom, but that has to evolve from, like a 17, I've got a 17-year-old son, and I'm seeing that sense of freedom. I've got my car, I can do everything. I can go surfing, I can do whatever I want. Into a sense of freedom of, this is my purpose, this is who I am, and this is what I'm here to do. And as a woman, this can be frustrating because you see this purpose in him, and not always he'll live up to that.
And at the moment, obviously, a lot of people are not allowing, being allowed to have that freedom because of this isolation. We've got all of these gyms that are closed down, and rock climbing's closed down. So all of these places that men would usually go to be able to have that outlet and that freedom, they're now at home full time with their kids screaming and so many other stresses added to that. How do women navigate that? Help!
It's so tricky, because in many ways, a man's freedom at times was felt sometimes in his work. I have purpose. I know what I'm doing. I'm achieving, and there's freedom in, I'm good at what I'm doing. And it's true, this time has taken that away. You know, there's times, and things are happening now where you may even feel like a loser. It's like, oh, I've lost my job, I haven't got the money, I'm not doing this, everything's falling apart. And that's why sometimes this is not, if you're someone who tends towards depression, don't do this. But often for men, it's important to kind of meditate on death, that everything at some time will die, and it gives you relativity to what's really going on in your life, that you don't have to have this all nailed by the time you're 25, that you've got time, that this can all fall apart. And actually, what I'm really seeing is whatever has been going on is getting amplified for so many people right now.
Yeah.
So if relationship was a problem, then relationship's really a problem. If finances were a problem, you know, it's more of a problem. If health, you know, I'm seeing some really young, healthy people, and they're like, I'm worried about death. Yeah. And it's like, well, you're not in such a bad place, but it's bringing it up. So whatever's there for you. It's true, acknowledging that, and that men at times will need to go into their cave, that they will need, in a time of war, we're with other men and we go within ourselves and then bring forth all ourselves. And that's sort of happening now, but we're trying to do it within the family, within the chaos and the craziness and the guilt we feel, because, you know, I want to support my family, but I also want to be there with the kids, and I want to be there for my wife, and or my partner, and all these different interplays. So it's important that men have some nothing time when there is no emotion and responsibility, where they are in their cave, where they're in their shed, just for a moment, where they're filling themselves up so they can bring that back to the family. So as a woman, encouraging and supporting that as well, and acknowledging that.
That leads into another question. My husband is using ISO as an excuse to Xbox 15 plus hours a day. Help, my kids are watching.
Okay, got it. Yeah, he's a monk. You've married a monk.
He's allowed to just, not allowed because it's not owned.
No.
Is
I'm so glad you said that.
Acceptable? Yes.
No. It's like, he's a monk. Men want to go into their cave and commune with God, which means commune with nothing. And the advantage of that, God in the sense of whatever that is for you, but go back into nothingness. And the question is, what's the purpose? Not so much of my life, but maybe that's a great question. But what's the purpose, the deepest purpose of this moment? And when any addictions come up, whether it's alcohol or gaming or drugs, there's something in that state that you're looking for. So there's something in that. When he's gaming, there's something that he gets that's incredibly valuable for him. Now, it's a problem, because with any addiction, it actually takes something from you. You get something from it, but it takes something from you. But he needs to explore, what is it that I'm really looking for? Because after 15 hours, it's like when you drink a wine. You should really, I've seen people, I've worked with people, and they've gone from a bottle of wine a day to a glass by this one strategy, and it works with anything. By really noticing and experiencing every sip, like fully experiencing it. Like, what am I really feeling, and why do I want this, and why do I need more of this in my life? And so when he's gaming, the question for him is, what am I really looking for? Because he should be getting it quicker than 15 hours. And then he needs to say, how does this serve me? How does it serve my family, so I can step into my fullness, so I can step into my complete power?
There was a question that went into that I'm just trying to navigate and find. But the gist of the question was essentially, my partner has started turning to alcohol to be able to cope with everything that's going on. And so in regards to you mentioning about the Xbox, if somebody or your partner was perhaps turning to alcohol to be able to cope with this, what is a strategy that us as women are able to implement to best support them?
So what is it, again, what is it they're looking for? And often it's the nothing. Often for men, there's a few things that alcohol does. The first thing is it puts your critic to sleep. So an internal critic doesn't allow you to dance, or doesn't allow you to sing, or doesn't allow you to do whatever you want. And then suddenly your critic goes to sleep, and it's like, I can express myself. Now I can be who I want to be. So that's one of the things it does. The other thing it does is it gives you a break from responsibility. And for men, that's often, it's either putting the critic to sleep or removing the responsibility. And the fullness and the stress and all these types of things. Or often for women, it's a chance to experience life. It's like, now I can connect with my girlfriends, and now I can dance, and I can wear pretty things, and I've been waiting for this all day. So for him, acknowledging what is it he's really looking for, because what alcohol does is it creates a sense of free flow. Now I'm free. But the problem is that it creates more of an obstruction. It fires up the liver, and then it creates more anger issues. So if they're angry and frustrated, that's going to fire it up. It's going to fire the liver up and create more problems. So asking, what is it he's really needing? Is he needing time out? Is he needing, just to himself, without the kids? What's he really needing? Now, this is hard because in a relationship, sometimes it's complex. Maybe he needs other men to sit and talk with and share and be able to express himself. We don't know, because we don't know the complete situation.
Which is hard at the moment.
It's hard at the moment. It's hard to, but in Australia, we can still connect with one other person and go out and exercise. I went and caught up with a mate, and is that all through Australia still?
I don't think in New South Wales. I don't help. I don't know. Very quite sad, but I'm not sure I did that today. Please don't slam me. I went.
Don't slam
Friday.
You.
Please
Good.
Don't slam me.
In Queensland, you just jump across the border, because in Queensland you can ride on your bike as a family. You can do everything as a family. But yeah. Yes, in New South Wales, no in Victoria. Okay, Victoria is complete shutdown, I believe. Not 100% certain on that. But yeah. Okay, so we live in this time as well where we can connect to other people. Isolate, but don't isolate. Keep connecting to other human beings. Keep sharing what's going on for you, Connect with other people. If your partner's driving you crazy, sometimes you just need to connect with someone else, a mate or a girlfriend, and go, he's driving me crazy, she's driving me crazy. Sometimes we need that. And it's not a criticism of either of you. It's just like, sometimes that's what you need.
There was a question in regards to this in relation to, my partner doesn't like me talking to anyone else. My partner doesn't like me discussing my relationship with friends. How would you, which is not obviously, but it's an unhealthy habit to form. How do they navigate this? And I'll lead into the next question, which is, my boyfriend has anger issues. He is getting help, but what should I do and what should I not do, being stuck in isolation?
Okay. So what was the first question? That was about the anger.
Forgot. Friendships, discussing your relationship outside of your relationship. Sorry.
Yeah.
We know I can talk.
So why? Obviously, there's kind of within the family system, there's a critic
Mhm.
that says, don't share any of this. But this is actually, it's important for women. Women are gossipers. I don't mean that in a bad sense. I don't mean go in, like when you go to therapy. If I go to therapy, it's like, oh, I shouldn't say. It's like, yes, you should. Like, this is the time. You need to say what's really going on if you can't do that. So don't share everything with everyone if you don't feel like that's the right person, but have people that you feel held by, because you need to be able to surrender. We all need to. And traditionally, all the women would get together. We've been a community. And in some ways, what's going on at the moment is a little bit more traditional. I was just talking about this before it happened. I said, when traditionally, if we're financially struggling, we'd be all on our own. But traditionally, if there wasn't enough fish for the community, the whole community would be experiencing that. And that's the advantage at the moment. There's kind of not enough fish for the entire community. So there's an advantage around that at the moment. And we need other people. We need to go off and be able to share who we are. We can't do it. We've got to get over this idea that everything has to just stay within this small little circle called our family. You can't actually, it's not sustainable. You can't be a lover and a banker and a therapist to each other. It doesn't.
No, which is what the hat that a lot of mums right now are trying to play, because they're playing the mum, the partner, the cleaner, the cook, the business owner, and it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. And one of the biggest things that I work with is this overwhelm. Women are really I'm seeing this really powerful movement with women, which is, it's amazing, and it's exactly what should have happened. But women are getting really tired, because sometimes you can do anything has become you can do everything, and we have to navigate that. How do we? I'm not actually as good at cleaning as Tabitha. Like, if I do it, I'll never do it as well as her. So I don't do as much of that. I just know. It's like, seriously, I just don't have that gift. So I'll do some of it, but I'll do more of the cooking, and I'll do more of the shopping, because they're areas. It's like, how do we negotiate this? How do we now work out who's really good? We live in a world where we're supposed to be equal, but we're not equal, because I'm not equal to Tabitha when it comes to cooking. Sorry, to cleaning. I'll do it, and she goes, you haven't cleaned. It's just like, I don't see the world the same way she does. So acknowledging and making sure you're talking to people that you actually are good people to talk to, that can genuinely hold you. We've all had those people that have betrayed us. So finding those people that you truly and deeply feel held by.
Yeah, which I think is a massive key point as well, is that a lot of people have these trust issues of who they talk to, because I guess, like you mentioned before, a lot of women are gossipers. And so you've spilt your heart to this person, and then they've gone and told everyone else about it. So it is very important that you do trust who you are talking to.
Don't do it to that person. I was just going to say, there's a thing.
Person.
Not that person. There's a thing called high and lower dreaming. What it really is you can love people more when you see them for who they really are. Sometimes we high dream. In a sense, we go, I can trust that person. But that person's never shown you that you can actually trust them. So why do we do that? We all do it. It's not a criticism. But if you go, Henrietta, I can't trust her. I love her, but I can't trust her. Now I can love her, and I can choose to have the relationship because I see who she really is, and it's incredibly empowering.
Someone has just commented, and I think that this is a key point, because I believe, which is why I get a lot of DMs. I trust no one, just myself. That's the sad reality. And I do think that when people DM me, for example, they know that it's not going any further. So they feel that they can unload or give a sense of what they're currently going through, which I'm so grateful that I am able to provide that platform for. But of course, then it comes to me and finding the support for them to be able to navigate as well. So thanks for joining us.
It's an absolute honor. And it's like realizing, because you are so connected to your heart, you realize how sacred this is and what an honor it is. I feel the same way. I go to places that I really want to go with people because it's important. It's important to them, but it's important to me. I want to go as deep as we can. And you hold that space for people. So also making sure you get support too.
Thank you.
And sorry, you're going to say?
No, go.
No. And then we were going to go.
It's funny. I'm just sharing that it's funny to everyone who doesn't. I take on a board a lot. So Brad knows that. The backstory is Brad knows me. So that's why we laughed.
Yeah. And so what was the next? That was anger. That was the second
now, the
part
next
of it, wasn't
question's
it?
a bit of a, yeah, it is. This one actually worries me a little bit. So
Okay.
my boyfriend has anger issues and he is getting help. But what should
Good.
I do or not do to support him?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the first thing, and I mentioned this briefly, is don't over-mother him in the sense of if he hurts you, don't go, I can't share that and I can't express that. Firstly, always make sure you're safe. That's the number one thing, because we don't know the full story around this question. Make sure you're safe. But if you are safe, show him. Often it flips people when they really see. It's like they see when he says something that hurts you, like, show that. That really hurts me. How does that really make you feel? Notice that. That would be the first thing I would do. I don't know if she's doing that or not, but that's super important because that can flip him. When he suddenly says, I've hurt you, I didn't mean to do that. And it can awaken him from that place. But it depends, he needs to do the work on the anger. Underneath anger for men is often fear or sadness. Hopefully he's doing that work and really connecting to that as well. Anger is a powerful emotion. Sometimes it's exactly what's needed. I don't think in this case it is, but sometimes it motivates us and moves us. But it needs to be unfolded. How do I need this? Sometimes I work with people and it's like we need to actually use this anger and bring it out. But for her, I would say, take care of yourself. It's like you're important too, I'm glad he's getting work done. It's really important. He doesn't want to bring that to his family.
What about navigating a relationship separation whilst in isolation?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's tricky, isn't it? It's like
really tricky. There's actually a few of these ones. There's probably 5 or 6 which all relate to how do we know if separating is the right thing to do whilst in isolation, or whether it's heightened because they're in isolation, or whether it's the right time to do this.
Got it.
There are quite a few of these.
Got it. It's heightened.
Yep.
That's the number one thing. Everything's heightened. And so that can give you clarity. And the opportunity here now is sometimes we can see now what is it that we really need to do. This thing has been happening forever. Someone said that to me. It was interesting. Like some of the stuff, it's not big for me, but I can see stuff that was going on for me in high school that it's like, there it is. That's the work. It's still here. It's time to do it. It's terrifying for me, the thought of going back to the world in the way it was and not taking this opportunity and doing the work that we really need to do. So I would say use this time. If you don't have to work as much, use this time to go within you. Take it as an opportunity. What is it that I really need? What am I called to do? Is this relationship really done? Or is there work that we can really do? Can we rekindle what it once was? What we fell in love with. There was once love there. And what was that? What did love want from you? Or is that done? What do you think?
Good points. No, it's such a hard thing to navigate right now because, like some of these women that are saying, it's a lot. There's one lady in here that has said that they're both working from home and they've got kids as well. So how do they navigate that? And then
yes,
I suppose
just let me say, I'll say something to
go.
that.
Yeah.
It's the one time in life, something that'll free you up is acknowledge that you may not rule the world right now. You may just get through. This isn't the time, maybe, to become a world beater. It's like just to take the pressure off you and go, I'm just going to do the best I can do at the moment. I'm going to put the kids, and sometimes I've got to get the work done, so I'm going to put them on technology, and I'm going to give myself a break. You know, it's just, it's like so often we're told, you know, the question is, what's the purpose of this moment? What do I really need to do? And yeah, sorry, there was more to that.
No. No, I was actually going to go on to the next question, which kind of maybe leads on, maybe doesn't.
Yep.
What can I do if I know that something is really stressing him out and I feel that his mental health is really struggling? There are a lot of questions that are relating to this, and I do know that there's a lot of mental health issues when it comes to men, and I know that it's really hard as a woman to support a partner that perhaps is going through a lot right now, and with the support networks that usually you'd be able to implement, I guess, aren't there. And I think that was the real trigger this morning when I got a DM from somebody that said, like, my partner is mentally not coping. What do I do? How do I cope? Where do I go? And I think at the moment it's so amplified because men have lost everything. Like, perhaps their business, their jobs, they don't know what to do. They're in bed. They're struggling to get out. There's possibly a lot of circumstances surrounding that.
Their identity.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things. The first thing I was going to say with that is, this is kind of your area of expertise. Exercise. However that looks, and if you're inside, do whatever. For a couple of reasons. There's this concept that we have that it creates this sense of free flow, and it brings clarity, and we're looking for that sense, and we all know that. It's like you haven't got a clear idea and you go for a run and you suddenly get all these ideas come to you. There's this sense of free flow. This is who I am. The other thing it does is it puts power into your body. You feel strong, and then connect to that strength and connect that into your kind of your mind and your spirit as well. So I'm a big fan. For me, if I'm feeling stuck, I move. I'll just do some form of exercise, because suddenly everything changes. And the other thing for men is also letting go of, you can come out of this. For most of the people that are following you are pretty young, you know, and when I mean that, they're probably under 80.
20, yeah, my average audience is 25 to 35.
I love it. You're young. You're young. I want to tell a 25-year-old something. You don't have to have it all nailed by 25. I saw my son, you know, he finishes school at the end of this year, and he said, you know, I want to be this and I want to have this. And it's like, that's great. It's great to have goals, but it's never done. You never fully arrive. There's always something to do. So if it all does fall apart, you're so young. There's so much time to really come out of this. The birth of the phoenix, the rising. Who are you through going through this experience? In some ways, I'm envious of, you know, I really looked up to my grandfather who went through the Second World War. And I don't want to go into war at all, but there's something about that experience. You know, we have never had any of this. And there's something in this that we're going through something that's big. And another great meditation you can do is the 90-year-old you. So meditate and imagine you're 90 and look back on yourself. And what would you say to you at this time? You know, what would be your wise advice? Because that's part of you too. It's like, what would she say? What would she tell you that you're going through in this moment? And there still are places as well that men can go if they're really struggling. Reach out, get help, read books, find support wherever you can. You can go to, I know on the Gold Coast City Library, you can hire audiobooks for free. You know, so there's so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, you can go and check out that book. There is so much support out there.
If they're willing to do it, I think there's so many women that are standing by their partners at the moment, knowing, like reading these, being like, I don't know what to do to support him. So,
Here's the thing as well. because they
No, go.
they also see the potential in him. And
Yeah.
it's like we all do this. We all see the potential of the person outside of ourselves. In some ways, another person knows us better than we know ourselves, because we've all got our own inner critics and all these things. And so for women as well, take care of you too. Take care of your own mental health. Support yourself as well. Don't jump on a sinking boat. Keep your boat afloat and keep throwing the life raft. Keep being there.
My partner has different expectations from our relationship and sex, but is not compromising or seeing anything as an issue. There's about 3 relating to intimacy during the lockdown or the isolation period, as well as different sex expectations.
Yep.
Do you want that one?
Yeah. No, that's good. A couple of things on that. So different people can go different ways around stress. Sometimes for men, their libido, the sex drive goes up because there's this sense of fullness in them. And it's like, how do I get rid of this fullness? And sex does that. It creates this sense of emptiness. It's why after sex, men are kind of like less interested in you, because they're empty. It's like, now I'm empty of desire too. I'm empty of stress. I'm empty of all that. So that's one thing. Sometimes for women, there's an opposite to this as well, which I'll go into in a sec. But sometimes for women, when stress comes up, the libido goes down because there's so much fullness and they need to feel empty. They need to feel like the dishes are done before they can feel intimate. Literally. It's like all the dirty socks, because they are one with their environment. You know, they're one. And like the dirty socks, they are the dirty socks as well, where the guy's like, what dirty socks? You know, what are you talking about? And so that's really important, that they have a sense of emptiness, that they feel held in that moment, that they can let go and fully surrender, which is what a man wants more than anything else, really. He wants a woman when she fully surrenders into her own depth, into the depths of her own pleasure, is the greatest turn on that a man can ever experience. And men don't always know that, but there's kind of a part of them that they know that. They know that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the depths of her. So that's one way to acknowledge it. If there's kind of the guy's got a high libido and the woman's got a low libido, that can help with it, working with that. The other thing that can happen is a man libido can drop sometimes around sex. It can drop around stress because he's going into his cave, because he's going into war, because he's communing with God as a monk. And what do I have to do, and how do I get out of this? And I'm going to prepare myself to hunt the buffalo down. And so I'm going to go in, and I can't be with all that touchy-feely stuff. I can't deal with that at the moment because I have to deal with this battle that's about to happen. And so this starts to take over, and then for the woman, it's like, but she wants intimacy, she wants touch, she wants to feel that he has her. And so then that creates a problem as well, because her libido or feeling of connection wants to go up. I want to feel life, I want to feel connected to you. And he's like, no, not now. I have important secret work to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, and when we were talking previously about the man going into his cave, there was a couple of comments on the live saying, why are we talking so much about the man going into the cave? I want to break too. So when we're in isolation,
yes,
the woman... Go on.
No, keep going. It's good.
I know,
I got it. I love it.
Go.
It's true, because as a woman, you're holding so much. Your libido will often go down because it's like, I want to be able to surrender. I want to be able to let go into my own pleasure, into my own world. I want to be fully held by you. And that's what I need at the moment. I'm so tired, and it tends to fry a woman's nervous system when she's always on, when she's always achieving. And women are often actually better at it than men. Women are better communicators and organizers and can do this, but it fries their nervous system, and they reach a point where it's like, I've had enough. And they need to be held, they need to be contained. And sometimes that containment looks like a bath where you're just in that, and the kids are locked out, and it's completely for you, where you're floating and held. And that state is really, really, really important. If women aren't getting that, they're gonna start, and the long, and we don't know how long this is going to go for. This is the world of uncertainty, and so we need strategies for women. It's like, and I'm hearing a lot of this. It's like women going because they want to be there for their man. They want to hold and support him, but don't forget about you too. Don't forget about your needs, because you don't need to be a sinking ship. And at some point you will be held. Find those things. You need to go into that place too. The cave for a woman, whatever that is, you know. And sometimes it's like the man just coming around and knowing he doesn't have to fix anything. He actually cannot fix anything at the moment. So for him, acknowledging that and maybe just coming around and just being a little there for her in whatever way he can.
And expressing that as a woman, that's what we need as well.
Yes, and that's really good too. Expressing it, like sharing what it is that is going on for you. Like, and we said earlier, share that. This is what's like, go into yourself. This is what's going on for me. I feel really sad. I feel really scared. I feel really, and you don't have to fix anything. It's just, I need you to hear me and to hold me just for this moment.
Okay. How do here you go. How do us females deal when a man shuts down and goes into his caves? PS, getting into your podcast. There's a few of these which are worded in different ways. How do I get him to open up about his struggles and emotion when he shuts me out? Which is, again, just a different terminology of going into his cave.
Yep.
So there's a few that are similar to that. So how does a woman cope when you are actually not being allowed into what's going on in his brain, head, mind?
Got it. It's important, you know, sharing that. We started to say that. Communicate that in a way. Sometimes I'm working with people and it's like, I know I'm nagging him, and it's like, sometimes that's actually okay. Or sometimes women now don't want to be a nagger and actually need to nag a little more, because it's like, I don't want to be one of those nagging. Sometimes it's like, it's like, see me, hear me, get me. And one of the ways you can do that, there's many ways, but one of the ways is connect to your own sensuality. Connect to that part that drives him wild, that he can't resist. You can try that, you know, connect to your own gorgeousness and the feminine form that can actually drive him crazy. So connecting to that can help. What was the other part of that? There's something else with that.
How do females cope when the man shuts down, goes into his cave?
Yes. And let him know that yep. And so go into the depths of yourself and share that. Share what you need consistently. And sometimes it's a nag, but it becomes less of a nag when you go deeper. Now that's going to scare some men, but you're also not his mother. You're allowed to scare him a little, you know. Don't protect him too much, you know. Like sometimes we do that. It's like, I don't want to push him, or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. It's like, you don't have to be his mother. You can be in your bigness. You can scare him sometimes. And knowing that he also needs to go into his cave at some point for a while. Not forever, but he needs to go in and reconnect to himself and drop out for a moment. Let him and encourage him to do that in whatever way that is, because it's gonna become more valuable for you. That does not mean 15 hours on Xboxes, though. We've already come to that one.
If the nagging causes conflict?
Okay.
How do you deal with conflict, especially when you're stuck inside together in a house? Maybe communication as a overall question topic.
Okay. Slow things down and be curious. It's really, really hard to work with conflict on your own. Sometimes you need a third person to come in with that. But if I'm working with conflict, the goal is always to slow it down and go, what's really here? Because it's like, you know, if it gets hot and it's all this, you kind of miss what's really going on. It's like sipping your wine. It's like, what am I really looking for? What's really going on here? So come with a lot of kindness to each other at this time and try to understand what's really going on. And one way of working with it is kind of feel into the roles and feel into the other side. And so it's like, get it, you're feeling like this. You're feeling frustrated with me because And then over the other side, I get this too. So getting to understand the dynamics and the roles that are really going on. Often we get pulled into roles. And a great example of this is in a family, often there'll be one funny kid. And if you suddenly say, well, I want to be the funny kid, then you almost have to fight to the death for that role, because that role's held. These roles also come up within us. And so understanding, what is this role I'm getting caught in? I'm pissed with you, but why am I pissed for you? What is this? What am I really? What am I not getting? What's going on here? And then for a moment, try the other side. Understand a little bit more about you and what's going on for you. When I do that, I get it. It hurts you or it does whatever. Now that's tricky work, but it's like understanding each other a little bit more and trying to work your way through that, through the soup.
I will just say as well, in regards to you saying that having a third person in there as a facilitator, Brad actually does that online as well with clients, and I personally have recommended a lot of my close friends and have had amazing success as well. So it works really well if that is the issue too.
Yeah, and you've got amazing close friends too.
I do. I'm very blessed. Okay. How do I find the energy to greet my husband when he gets home after I've had a long day with the kids? Women are stressed at the moment. It's hard.
It is hard. It's like, so he walks in the door and he's like, now I need to just drop everything and have a rest. That's right. And she's like, me too. It's like both of you, like when I'm working with people, it's like seriously, so often it's like, you both want the same thing. It's like you're both time poor or you're both energy poor or nobody. So it's kind of like the first thing is acknowledging you both need. It's like, we both need the same. Yeah, a village. It's exactly right. Exactly. Where's the tribe gone? Where's Aunt Martha, who's going to come and rescue us? You know? And this is really true, because it's like, but the first thing is going, because it helps you going, rather than just being, I'm pissed with you. You haven't had the kids all day and you've been out and you've had a break because you've been at work. And you're like, well, you've been at home all day and you haven't really done much because the house looks like a mess. And you know what I mean? It's like those roles that play out. And it's like, what are you going to say?
I read a quote today that it was like, mums at the moment trying to clean their house is like trying to brush your teeth while eating an Oreo. That is every woman right now trying to clean the house, just being like, fuck it. Why bother?
Here's the thing. I just thought of a great opportunity. This is one of the biggest, and I was really blessed with this because I took on a lot of responsibility of the kids when they were small. And I just wanted to do that. And I never, ever, when Tabitha was home, I never said, what have you been doing all ever? Because I just knew what it took. So at the moment, if he's home, maybe let him have the kids and you go out. Leave him for like 4 or 5 hours where he has to really experience it and fully go, because because it is, because I was like, I always say I was the most incredible parent until I had kids, because it was like I got it. And I think you don't really, he can't fully get it until he's done it. You know, it's easy to come in and go, I had him for an hour and like, how hard is it really? No, try a weekend. You know, we know what that's like. So give him that opportunity to experience it so he fully knows that. That could be something that can help. But know that what you both want, it's like, we both want the same thing. How interesting. It's not always that. Sometimes you want completely different things. But in this case, it's like, we want the same thing. How do we negotiate so we can both get some of that? And maybe you say to him, maybe you need to stop off for half an hour and not race home. I don't know, sit in the car, do anything. Just give yourself a little bit of you time. And then when you come in, I need to know that you're going to take the kids. Or, she says, when you come home, I'm going to give you half an hour. I'm going to keep the kids. And then I need you, so you negotiate knowing that you both need this.
Now, this is not a question, but this is something that we've previously discussed. The hierarchy of who should come first in your life. I remember us talking about this and me trying to relay this message back to my community. And I don't feel like I could ever do a good enough job as to what you do when the pyramid of hierarchy comes. So take it away.
I think you can. I think we all do, because we get this. It's like one of the things when I'm working, often, not always, but it's like, who's number one in your life? And so often it's the partner, it's the kids, it's work, it's all these things. And it's like, no. And it's so counterintuitive, particularly when you have young children. And I get that as well. But you have to be number one. Because when you're number one, that filters down. You are, when you're in a family, you are the family structure. So by you being number one, by you making sure there's something there for you, you get to bring that back to the family dynamics, rather than coming back as an empty vessel. This is another thing that happens with relationships. So often, when you fall in love, you don't know each other, and you come together and you pull all this stuff out of the relationship. But eventually that starts to deplete the relationship. And what you need to do is pick up the thing that you fell in love with and bring that more back into your relationship. I love that about you, and now I'm going to go find it. I'm going to keep on bringing it back into our relationship. The same thing goes for this. When you're full, when you have enough, then you get to bring that back rather than pull it out of the relationship, because it depletes it. It depletes the family system. And so then who becomes number two? Not the kids, not the work, your partner. Your partner has to be number two. And then the kids become number three, because as you stand together as a strong, powerful unit, those kids feed off that. They feel it. You can't con kids, really. You know what I mean? Like, you can't pretend. They feel, they know, they see your cracks. They've spent their entire life studying you. They know whether you're depleted or whether you're full. They can feel it, and they're going to test you. So suddenly you're a strong unit, and then you get to feed that down into the kids. But it has to start with you. You have to be. And so often when I'm working with men, mostly now, there are some assholes. There's always been, there always will be. But most men that I know, they're really good men. Like, there was a change in the 70s. There was this kind of anti-men movement. And, you know, I remember being caught in that as a kid and then moving up. But now the men that I'm meeting are good men and want to do the right thing. But they're depleted because often now they're feeling guilty and they don't want to give any time for themselves. So that's the thing where we started. It's like, make sure your man gives back to himself so he can give back to you. Make sure you give to yourself so you can give back to your relationship, so you can give back to your family in this time.
And respecting that space, yeah. Yeah, to be able to do that and to be able to give back to yourself. So just, somebody did just ask what the numbers were. So number one, Brad said, was you.
Number two, yep. Number two is partner. Number three is kids. And number four is work. So often, I was just going to say, as a woman, if work's number one, now work has to be a priority. We get that. But if work is more important than you, you're going to get pissed with work. It's going to feel like an affair. Mm-hmm. It's going to, you know, so it's like, it doesn't work. If the kids are more important than her, real trouble.
Now, this is where, when I put this out to my community, there was a couple of difference of opinions here, is that kids should come before your relationship or your partner. And I know that it was probably about 65% that actually said that kids should come before your partner. So okay,
I like it. Look, and everyone, there's no right or wrong. These are all theories that have to work for you, but you have to ask, is it really working? I've got a 17-year-old now, and he's moving away from us. I love him to bits.
Is he?
Completely, yeah. Like, no, they do. They go from a 17-year-old. They start, their peers, their mates start to become important.
I thought you meant moving away.
No, he's not moving away. Okay. No. But he's moving energetically. He's moving away from us, and that's good. That's what you want. You want them to do that. So yes, one day they're going to move on. But also, when you don't have a really strong unit, kids start to play with you. Kids start to, it's like you're the structure. It's like, that's how important we are. That's how important this relationship is. When we're strong, then we create the foundation for these kids to really grow, to feel safe, to feel held. And that has to be, you know, often we put the kids in front of ourselves and in front of our partners. And then maybe we put, so kids are number one, and maybe we say, well, our partner's number two and we're number three. None of that's a good structure. And it creates resentment with the partner as well. It's like, I don't feel like you're there. Now, Tabitha and I are both on the same page because we're completely committed to our children, fully, you know, to growing them and raising them. But we have to commit to us. We have to commit to our relationship and work on that. Otherwise, it's trouble. And those kids, I love my kids, but they will take whatever they can from us. They'll take all we can give.
There are a couple of points here that this is in a healthy family dynamic. What if it is not a healthy family dynamic? Do the kids then come above your partner? And if kids are unhappy, how can you work on your relationship?
Okay, I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So firstly, if kids are unhappy, often,
how can you?
Often,
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, often, not always, but often it's the family system. What's going on? Why are the kids unhappy? What's happening within the family system? So working with them, exploring them, but also what's going on for them, but also what's going on for you. Maybe working on the relationship is going to help the kids as well, perhaps. Now, if the relationship isn't healthy, then once again, we're back to you're number one. You have to be number one. And it's like, what do you need? Is this a relationship you actually need to not be in? Yeah, you know, it's like, this is a model, and models can be broken and changed wherever they need to go. But you have to check in with, is this good for you? What do you need? Because what you need will also be what the kids need. There's nothing more exciting than an empowered human being.
I'm trying to read comments at the same time. I'm so blind. Okay. Yeah. It was very interesting. I love that so much. And I know that when I started putting myself first again, I know, well, I feel like most parents, when they have a baby, you've got this life that you have created, and all of a sudden, every single need, want, sleep, everything goes out the window because you are completely and utterly, life has changed to keep this baby alive, to give it everything it possibly needs. And I think that most first-time mums will lose themselves at some stage trying to navigate being a mum. And I think it's pretty inevitable. Yeah. And you've got this baby, you're trying to get to sleep. Yeah. And And I think that once we realize that if we don't fill our own cups up, we can't fill up anyone else's, or the mask analogy, that we just end up spiraling. And I think for me, that's when I found exercise, because I had both the boys and I was like, I cannot do this. And I think that once I started filling up my own cups with exercise, it helped me immensely. But filling up your own cup first. But I love that pyramid so much.
It's so important, and I really like what you're saying, and it's like, trust yourself. You need to go wherever you need to go, and this is the whole Taoist idea of following nature, going with the flow, that eventually you will find you can swim against your own nature. The goal is, how do we follow our process? That's why I like nighttime dreams, because they kind of reveal parts of ourselves. But how do we follow our process and how do we go, in a sense, with the flow? That it's okay also to go against the flow, because you will eventually fatigue. You will reach a point where you go, I'm done and I can't do this anymore. And Tabitha and I did this with our kids, having two boys, 2 years apart. There's a point where you just go, I can't just give. And if you feel like you need to give, trust that. But then trust what is also going on in the background. Oh, there's this part of me that's starting to go, I don't know if I can keep doing this in this way. Just explore that a little bit. It's like, that might be the part of yourself. Then what does that look like? Because I think that's the spirit of what's happening at the moment. I'm done. And the question is, what are you really done with? You're not done with parenting. You might just be done with doing it in the way that you were doing it. You completely. You might be done with, maybe you are done with the relationship, or maybe you're just done with the way the relationship is. And you reach a point where you go, I'm done. And you went, I'm done. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to find a new me. How exciting is that? And that's what's happening at the moment. It's like, notice I'm done. And what does it look like? I'm done with everything that's going on. I'm done with the uncertainty. Certainty must exist within you. That whole Tai Chi, the yin yang symbol of whenever there's uncertainty, there's the potential of certainty, and you are that certainty, finding that part inside yourself.
Why is he getting mad at the kids when the kids aren't the problem?
Yeah, because he's got what we call liver chi stagnation. And he's not really exploring what he's angry with. It's like his work is to go, what are you, like asking, what are you really angry with? But don't do it in a way like, what are you really angry with? Like, I'm curious. Curiosity is a great, scratch your head a little more and go, this is interesting. Why is this happening? We are more mysterious than we think. And why is he getting angry? What's really going on for you? It looks like, Johnny left his truck out. Doesn't seem like it's the thing. What's really going on for you? And allow him to explore that a little bit more. Then look at things like watch alcohol and drugs, because they create this irritation, particularly we say in the liver chi, and that creates more this explosive, what we call liver yang rising, where you explode. It's like, I can deal with it, I can deal with it, I can deal with it, and explode. That's right. Or you bottle it up and go, no, I'm okay, no, I'm not. Pick it up earlier. What's really going on?
And that's really hard.
It's really hard. But it's good to know, like, whenever you can, to pick that up earlier. And when you fail, it's like, I was going to try and pick that up earlier. Don't give yourself too hard a time and go, I'm going to work on that again. I'm going to try and pick that up and notice what it is. And is he getting his cup filled? Why is he angry? Is he feeling so depleted and there's nothing for him? Or is he feeling like, I'm a loser, I've lost my job, and it's like, it's okay, we're all going to lose in the end. Be okay with that too. That's why death meditation is good, because you just go, I also one day will lose everything, those I love. And I don't mean that in a depressive way. If that depresses you, don't do this. But one day I'll lose everything. Wake up to the moment. What do I really need? Who am I really?
And I think at the moment as well, what's really helping me is going, worst case scenario right now is X, Y, Z. And am I okay with X, Y, Z? And if I'm okay with it, I'm like, well, why am I worried? Why am I stressing? There's nothing to be upset about, because this is my worst case. And that really helps for me. So that might help.
I love that. That's really good, because it's like, actually, I'd be okay. That's the worst case. And actually, I'd be okay. And sometimes anxiety is that feeling of looking into the future. But it's kind of, whenever you've got to the future, you've dealt with whatever is there. And trust in who you are, that it's going to deal, who you are. Build and develop yourself now, so when you get to your future self, you're the one that can deal with whatever's going on. These experiences that are going on for us now, I'm kind of hoping they're going to be the stories I tell, my grandkids, of what we went through and how we got through it and who we became through this. It's an opportunity. Who do you want to be? Who do you want this experience to turn you into?
It's amazing, isn't it? It's like an opportunity to really look deep of what we actually want in our life. And it's good.
It's really true.
Flip it.
Why? Yeah, it's like both, while also acknowledging it sucks and it hurts and it's painful and I'm scared, and not marginalizing that too, but also kind of exhilarating. And I've felt both of those. I think all of us have felt those moments of like, this is the best thing in the world, this is the worst thing in the world.
Oh yeah. There was somebody that commented before and they said, I can't stop crying every day. My emotions are just a roller coaster. And I definitely feel that for so many people. And I think that I'm yet to speak to somebody who hasn't been affected. And I think that's a huge thing to kind of take peace in, because everyone in every industry of some sort has been affected. So it's not just gyms or beauty or different fields. It's everyone.
No one's alone. We're just not.
How do you approach honest, calm communication when issues and problems can be a trigger for your partner and they either get angry or shut down?
Therapy.
Facilitation. Yeah,
getting that. But so in a space where you're held, where you can, the advantage of facilitation is both parties can be held, and it's like, and saying it in a way that doesn't trigger. It's like, so again, maybe going into saying it in a way that is deep in you that you need to be heard might help, but might trigger. It's so often it's facilitation where both can be heard and both can be held. It's like for Tabitha and I, we're not great at fighting because sometimes we're too nice to each other. We've been in therapy and it's like, you two need to fight more. It's like, that's just our pattern. That's not good or bad. Some people are like at each other and they need to be like, let's be a little more loving. Let's bring, are you guys done with this and the way this is? And other people need, it's like, no, you need to stand on your side as well. That's another really big, sorry, go.
Go, no, go.
I was just going to say that can be another thing is sometimes making sure, sometimes you need to stand on your own side a little bit longer. Sometimes in a fight, you go too quickly onto the other person's side and you side with them and it's like, then suddenly both of you are attacking you. So
yeah, because sometimes it's easier to not have the conflict. You're like, eh.
Yeah. And sometimes and sometimes that's the right thing too. Sometimes it's like, am I really going to get out of this what I want to get out of this?
Somebody just asked, and what if the other person doesn't want that help? And I think that this is why I love you so much, is that not just for myself and my own situation and circumstances, but other people that I have sent to you, the male has often felt like, I would never go to a counselor, therapist, facilitator. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then turned around and the male side of the relationship that has never wanted to go has now been the one that actually goes and sees you. Because, and I think that finding the right person for you and your relationship is huge in that. But I think if you can get your partner to go just once, and like I said earlier, Brad actually does this online as well, is I think that after just one session, they'll very quickly realize that it's not a gang up session on them, which I think is what most of the fear might be. And that you do hold both parties and it's not just a slagging match on one person or, I think it's fear of the unknown.
Yeah, you know what? It's true. I have a real love for men. I genuinely love dudes and I love guys and it's like, that's been my journey in finding self-love as a man and connecting to men. And this is not about ganging up or beating anyone up. And for men, often it is more difficult for us to connect. It takes a little more time. We're sometimes a little slower with the feelings. What am I feeling? For having a place where that's held and that's supported, and it's not a gang up, and often women don't. The other thing that happens is we sometimes dream up our own critics, meaning we have this inner critic and somehow that critic gets triggered by our partner. And next minute you're in a complex and you don't know what's going on. So having support around that is really important. And, I think men working with men is really important too. Having men in there that can really hold and love seeing men grow.
And you're amazing at it. You're an absolute game changer.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it is getting very late.
It is.
I'm so sorry.
No, that was great. I just looked at the time and I went, wow.
I really appreciate you coming on, because I know that, like I said in the intro, there's a lot of people that have joined the second half of our chat, is that my DMs are often filled with people asking for support, and whenever I ask how somebody is, I would like to be able to support them back, and unfortunately I don't have not only the resources and support but also the headspace right now to be able to give back to everyone. So if somebody does need the help and support, how can they contact you?
Well, they're on Instagram. So my clinic, you can Studio Chi in the bio, you can click on there. There's links through there. Podcast I do with Tabitha, we do one of those a week. So there's kind of free support. There's information there that you can get. You can listen, and you can go to the clinic, Studio Chi, or you can shoot me through a message as well. It's not spelled. It's STUDIO Studio QI, which is the Chinese form QI. Or you can shoot me through a message, but it's on my it's in my bio as well. So
and the podcast is called?
The podcast is Turn On the Podcast. So it's all about turning on you, your relationship, your life, just turning back on to who you really are. So and once again, that's linked in the bio as well, and you can find it on Apple Podcasts and all that sort of stuff as well.
Thank you. Everyone's putting it on there now. And with regards to your facilitation that you do offer online, that's via Zoom.
Yep, Zoom.
Yep.
I'll do Zoom, Skype. What are we on now? FaceTime. Whatever. Different people have different things that they want to work on, and I'm happy to work with whatever works with you. So you can contact the clinic.
No, just one more thing is that with partners, a lot of the time men feel like this is going to be a gang up session. And so often what I don't want to talk about my relationship, but often with people that I know or with you especially, if you speak to the male first before having the couples, it usually works better because you're able to figure out what's happening from the male side without them feeling like they're gang up on,
I like it.
Whichever way, with their partners as well, because often they're fearful that their partners are going to throw them under a bus or it's going to be a slam session. And so usually to try and get the male to come along, Brad will do a session with them first alone, which really helps.
I really like that because then often it's true. It's like, who's this dude? What's he going to do? He's going to side with my partner, and I'm going under the bus.
Yeah,
it's not about ganging up. It's about finding out what you both want. So that is a really good option as well. I do that a lot with the men and connect with them.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Absolutely amazing. Good to see your face again.
Such an honor. So good to see you. And and I just want to say to everyone out there, like, there for you. Everyone's in this, and just offering everyone so much support and love. And so good to see you. Not in person, but
it's close enough for now.
It's close enough. It's great. Awesome.
Thanks, Brad.
All right.
I'll speak to you soon.
See you, Sophie.
Bye.
Bye.